And I do actually want to go back to the model and talk about self-confidence. Maybe this is interestingly through the lens of the perceiving functions, the sensing and intuitive functions. Through most of this, we have hit the judging or decision-making functions more. And the reason why is that tends to be, our decision-making functions are where we evaluate things. So a lot of this conversation has been about how we're self-evaluating. Where do we see ourselves? Do we think that we have worth? How do we esteem ourselves or estimate our value? How's our self-trust? How are we with determining whether or not we're going to place a certain amount of trust in ourselves? And oftentimes these tend to be filtered through our decision-making functions because that's what decides what's important and what's valuable. Self-confidence is a little different. Even though it's related to self-trust, I think to build self-confidence, it's almost like we need to be more perceptive than anything. And we've been reading the textbook definitions of all of these things. In part, that's the clean slice and dice, even though you're like, nobody cares about the definitions, Antonio.
Oh, everybody loves a good evening of dictionary reading around the campfire.
That's right.
Are you kidding? It's
Yeah.
like one of the most popular things that anyone ever does.
Yeah, I know that I'm a total nerd because I love reading the etymology of words, and I know that I'm unusual in that.
I love the etymology of words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, does everybody have an etymology dictionary in their bathroom next to their toilet?
I like the etymology of words better than I like the definition of words.
Yeah, me too, actually. Interesting. So that said, I think part of this clean slicing and trying to understand ourselves through these different lenses, I think it really benefits from a good definition. And for self-confidence, it's a feeling. So the textbook dictionary definition, hang tight. I know this is boring, but it's just one sentence. A feeling of self-assurance from one's appreciation of one's own abilities or qualities. So you have to do an assessment of oneself and appreciate what you see. And my observation has been the best way to get there is to watch yourself overcoming obstacles and then take an accounting of it. Meaning that you can't just watch yourself overcome obstacles and then shrug and go, that was no big deal. You won't gain confidence in your abilities if you undermine the value of what you've gone through. To go, oh, that was whatever that was. But it also requires you to take an accounting enough to create appreciation. So you have to be watching it. Everybody, 100% of humans that I know of have overcome obstacles because life is a series of obstacles to be overcome. Even if you had a great upbringing, even if you had, it almost seems like the universe rolled out a red carpet for you. Nobody gets through without a strong series of obstacles. So when people lack self-confidence, I always wonder, well, every time you watched yourself go through something tough and got to the other side, what did you do? Did you congratulate yourself for it? Did you take an accounting? Did you assess that happened and that appreciation for the fact that you navigated your way through that is the appropriate response? Or did you do a big shrug? So I think the perceiving functions are noteworthy here because that's where we observe things. That's where we watch things happen. And it's also where we pick and choose what we're going to observe. So each of the perceiving functions, both in the intuitive functions and the sensing functions, will come with a strength in this formula, but it will also come with a weakness in this formula. So I'd like to maybe do a little bit of a dive into that. What is going to be the strength of the intuitive functions and what's going to be the strength of the sensing functions? And then what is going to be an area that they could gain more self-confidence by adding it to that algorithm?